All right, let's take a look at this. What is it asking? It's asking, consider the three limit expressions in the graph of the function g shown below. Choose the correct ranking from smallest to largest. Okay, so what are they talking about? Well, I think what does this mean? What does this mean? The h is going to 0. This is a difference quotient, and it's talking about. I think you're talking about secant lines becoming tangent lines. So let me just explain. I think the limit of a difference quotient, that is just the slope of the tangent line. But let me draw a picture. What you're thinking of is an x value of 0 right here, and an x value that is h, and you're making h go closer and closer to 0. So like here you have g of 0, that's 0.5. All right, cool. And then you have some h value out here. You don't know what h is, but you're saying, okay, make h go closer and closer to 0. So really what you're doing is you're making this point slide closer and closer to an x value that is 0. So instead of having a secant line that looks like possibly this, instead of having that secant line, you're really taking the limit as h gets closer and closer to 0, meaning this point is sliding further and further over on the blue part of the graph. So the slope of the secant line becomes the slope of the slope of the tangent line. I'm drawing it poorly, but there, kind of the slope of the tangent line. It's not supposed to cross, but I can't draw it that well. So this is the slope of the line tangent to the graph at an x value of 0. That's what this means. So there we go. Slope of the line tangent to the graph at x equals 0. That corresponds to that black line, kind of. So then, what does the rest of this stuff mean? I can't really read it too well. I think it says pi over 2. Yeah, I'm going to assume that says pi over 2. This one means the slope of the line tangent to the graph at x equals pi over 2. That would correspond to, when x is pi over 2, somewhere around there. So we have, say, like that point. It would correspond to that tangent line. I can't really draw it that accurately because I'm on my iPad. But the red tangent line, that's what this is. The black one will be that one, and then I'll do this one in green. This is the slope of the tangent line to the graph when x equals pi. That's here, so like right there. Okay, that's very nice. Then we have something like that. That's the slope of the tangent line. Now here's what you got to think. Remember, slope is rise over run. So here, the steepest slope is going to have a big rise and a small run. So if we're talking about like a fraction, rise over run, if you have a big rise and a small run, that's going to come out to a big number, right? So like if the rise was 8 on top and the run was 1 on bottom, we'd have a slope of 8. That's a pretty steep slope. The higher the number on the slope, or the higher the slope number, the steeper it is. If you had a really small run, like 1, and then a small rise and a really big run, like 8, 1/8 for every 8 units to the right that you go, you only go up 1. So it's not as steep of a slope. These slopes are closer to 0, but they're still positive, so they would be going upwards from left to right. So that's a little explanation about the slope. The bigger ones, be quiet, cat. The bigger ones are steeper. The steeper the slope, the higher the slope number, because the rise is bigger than the run. The closer the slopes are to 0, then the less steep, the more shallow they are, the more flat they are. And then if they're negative, of course, then they're negative. It goes downwards from left to right. Okay, so if it's saying order them, choose the correct ranking from smallest to largest, they're just saying, okay, choose a slope that's most negative all the way to a slope that's most positive? Well, now we know. This slope is the most negative, so that would be 3. 3 is the most negative. Red, which is 2, is in between. It's positive, but it's not as steep as the black slope. So I guess it goes 3. 3 is the most negative. It says so. 3 is the smallest. 3 is smaller than 2, smaller than 1. I think it's the last one. We're talking about the slopes here. This is a fancy way of writing the slopes at that point. There is probably a video explaining that, but wow, this is quite long. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's right. I don't know. It's right.